The next day, there was a huge party to celebrate Charlotte Black's return. Victor Steele showed up to the party with me in hand, and he was extremely caring throughout the day. Everyone around him was talking about how much he doted on me. However, when Charlotte was upset and left the party, Victor pushed me down the stairs and chased after Charlotte that I broke my ankle, and the shattered wine bottle cut through my flesh. No one was sparing a glance at me despite the huge crowd. I dragged my bloodied leg and crawled to the doors. It was the security guard who got me an ambulance. After I went home from the hospital, I opened a box in his study that he had never allowed me to touch. It was a stack of intimate photos of Charlotte and Victor that I immediately gave my older sister, Louise Winters, who was overseas, a call. "Louise, I'm fine with the arranged marriage that the family has suggested to me. You may proceed with the arrangement." "Georgia Winters, did someone hurt you?" Louise was sleeping earlier. She suddenly jolted awake and sounded worried that my ankle was throbbing. I laughed and brushed it off. "I just felt like you were right. My family won't harm me. The partner that you'd arranged for me would be the most suitable person for me." Louise took a deep breath and chuckled. "You finally thought it through. You should come over to meet him first. We can discuss the engagement." I cut her off and immediately said, "I don't need to meet him first. You can proceed to arrange the engagement and wedding ceremony for me. I'll go back in a week's time." Louise was delighted. "I'll make sure the best arrangements are made. By the way, have you seen Victor lately? I bet he's over the moon now that his first love is back. If you see him, you should invite him to come to your engagement ceremony. It'll bring good luck to him and his first love." I was stunned that it turned out that Louise knew about Charlotte. No wonder Victor had kept our relationship from Louise. He joked, "I'm afraid your sister is going to kill me, since I'm dating her younger sister." I felt as though a dagger had pierced through my heart. "Louise, let's not trouble him. I'm not that close to him after all." The next second he opened the door. I had just put down my phone when Victor hugged me from behind. He subconsciously whispered in my ear, "Who are you not close to?" "Victor." He paused for a moment when he heard me address him by his name. I told him how I felt, and he immediately pressed himself against me. "Darling, are you upset because I didn't come back last night?" He always liked to tease me like this. "Darling, it's all my fault. I'll be sure to satisfy you in bed every night." His usual sweet words made my stomach turn today. When he took off his shirt, I saw the hickey on his chest. When we were intimate, he never let me leave a mark on him. He said that we were too old to be doing that. However, I found out that he would let another person do that. He then touched my ankle. I felt a tearing pain in my ankle. I pushed him aside forcefully, and tears started streaming down my face. I was unsure whether it was from disgust or pain. "Let me go." Victor was half-dressed, and he immediately looked concerned when he saw my tears. He asked, "Darling, are you sick?" "My ankle." My cast was so visible, but he only saw it after I mentioned it. His expression changed. "What's wrong with your ankle? Why didn't you tell me you were injured?" He seemed to have forgotten that he was the one who pushed me down the stairs in order to chase after Charlotte. His concern seemed like a joke, but I was not interested in reminding him. "Darling, I was only away for a night, and you've already gotten yourself injured. What would you do without me?" He wiped my tears away with a concerned look on his face. Then he turned around to pour me a glass of water. "Poor thing. My heart breaks when I see you cry." I looked at his back and felt the pain in my ankle as I smiled bitterly that he had taken great care of me for 9 years. I had never pictured a life without him. However, throughout those 9 years, how much of it was he sincerely taking care of me, and how much of it was he using me as a projection of Charlotte? I felt extremely disgusted by this relationship. That night, I said I wanted to sleep in the guest room because of my ankle. He was hugging me tightly under the duvet. I pushed him aside. He was about to hug me again when his phone screen suddenly lit up. "Darling, my friend is in a bad mood. I'm going to talk to him for a bit." Victor went into the study. When I was scrolling through social media, I saw Victor's friend's post. "Charlotte is indeed the only one who can get Victor out this late at night." I liked the post and immediately switched off the lights and slept. The next day, when I woke up, Victor had just entered the bedroom. He subconsciously wanted to launch himself at me. I immediately avoided his advances. I was physically repulsed by him. Victor thought I was sick, so he glanced at my ankle worriedly. He then fetched me my jacket. "Darling, put on your jacket." "Where are we going?" Victor sighed. "Darling, you're acting like a child. It's obvious that you're feeling unwell. I'll bring you to the hospital for another checkup." Victor brought me to the hospital. We had just entered the hospital when we bumped into Charlotte. She was pressing her hand against her lower abdomen as she stood there with a pale face. Victor immediately let go of me. I hit my ankle against the wall and immediately broke out in cold sweat due to the pain that he could no longer see me. He rushed forward and put his arm around Charlotte. "Are you sick? Why didn't you call me for help?" Charlotte smiled and shook her head at him, but it was obvious that she was sizing me up that I was wearing the same jacket as her. "I just had a stomachache. Why are you here together?" Victor touched his nose as he avoided her gaze. He immediately lied. "Louise's younger sister's ankle is injured, so she asked me to bring Georgia to see a doctor." I was already used to his excuses. Since Victor chose to hide our relationship, whenever we ran into any of his friends he would say, "Louise is overseas, so she asked me to take care of Georgia." Only his closest friends knew that he was dating me. Charlotte nodded. "Then you should bring Georgia in." Before she could finish talking, she suddenly frowned and pressed her hand against her abdomen again. The next second, Victor carried her in his arms. "Georgia, wait for me for a while. Since Charlotte is feeling unwell, I'll send her in first." I lowered my gaze. Blood was already oozing out from my wound and staining the bandage. It was extremely painful that I looked at Victor as he left. He looked extremely nervous that I smiled coldly that it turned out that for someone who acted so well, he would lose his composure when he encountered the person he loved the most. "Oh no! You're bleeding." The nurse immediately got some help for me. I looked down and noticed the blood was a vivid red. I could smell the blood, but Victor did not even notice it. The nurse said, "Did you break your ankle, or did you accidentally fall into glass shards?" Victor pushed me down very forcefully the other day. When I fell down, I accidentally knocked over a wine bottle. The glass shards pierced through my ankle, and I broke the bone too. I grew up in a loving family. Normally, my family would want to admit me to the hospital over any minor injury. However, it was different. I clenched my fist, and I could not say a word. After the nurse tended to my injury, I was already drenched in cold sweat. The nurse said, "All right, just take good care of your injury. Ask your boyfriend to take you home. Be careful not to strain your wound any further." I subconsciously wanted to send Victor a text. It had become a part of my muscle memory.